Hey, you guys, happy Wednesday, April 17th. And I wanted to come in really quick and talk to you guys. Just giving you some questions that I get or things that I've pondered as a person who is using the Bible and scripture to help me get out of debt and remain out of debt. And so, if you are new to me, thank you for joining me. My name is Abalori, and welcome to Spirit Led Finances. If you are returning, hey, thank you again for stopping by. But today, I wanted to just kind of touch on three questions that I think most of us ponder when we are getting out of debt or going through our debt free journey. And so I have compiled here on my tablet just some questions that I thought of, and I thought that maybe some of you all may think about as well. Or if you haven't thought about it, just giving you something to ponder as you're getting out of debt and learning to maneuver your finances in a different way. So to get started, I wanted to say, yay, I have finally finished this book. It's called The 40-Day Financial Fast, A Paradigm Shift Towards Financial Freedom by Pastor D.L. Williams. He is actually the pastor of the church that I attend here in Virginia called One Accord, Virginia Beach, or One Accord Church in Virginia Beach. And he created this book a few years ago, and every year, sometimes twice a year, he does the financial fast. And I have finished this book. It is awesome. I did lots of highlighting, as you can see, and I think this is a great book for you to pick up. I will drop the link and go over, show him some love, and get this book. But I wanted to just, think about some things as we learn to get out of debt. And in the last chapter of this particular book, he referenced Luke 17:32, remember Lot's wife. So if you don't know, or if you know a little bit about the story, they were getting out of, I believe it was Sodom and Gomorrah. I have to double check, but I think that was it. And of course, God gave the command for Lot to take his family and to leave, take his wife, his kids, and everything, and get out. And then he also gave the command for them to turn around and don't look back. Of course, Lot kept going. His wife decided to turn back and look at the place, I guess, in remembrance of all that she was leaving behind. And right then and there, she turned into a pillar of salt. This is a great reminder for us not to look back and not to go back into our bad behaviors that caused us to go into debt in the first place. So be it good debt or sometimes they say good debt and bad debt, but debt, whatever. This is just a reminder for us not to look back, because when we look back, we are going to fall back into those bad habits or those bad traits. Looking back can mean going backwards to your old spending habits, buying things that you don't necessarily need, not following scripture when it comes to spending and godly habits. So there are so many ways that we can apply why we should not look back in our journey towards financial freedom. And so he made a comparison in this book, and I thought that was a great comparison, because I never looked at life like that, with turning back and looking back. But I also think that there's a caveat to that. Sometimes I think it's good to look back so that you know where you once came from. So for example, if you know that you've been paying off debt, it is a journey that you have been going through, you have reached your first milestone. Sometimes we tend to go back and look at where we come from up until where we are now. I think that is a positive and a good look back, because it gives us a reminder, so to speak, of I don't want to be back in that place. So there's a caveat to when we're talking about, looking back. We don't want to look back at the things that caused us to get into debt. We don't want to fall backwards into that debt. But we do want to take a look back and say, man, I was in $10,000 of debt just 6 months ago. I'm down to $7,000 or $8,000. So in this span, I have lost $2,000 in debt. That is a great look back. But other than that, that should be the only time that we should be looking back, just for a reminder of where we are going. And sometimes looking back a lot of times may not serve a purpose. So we can look at Lot's story in two different ways. But I thought, just to parallel that into what we're doing in our debt-free journey, I thought that was interesting to think about Lot's wife in perspective of her looking back and how we look back at our finances. And so the second thing I wanted to talk about really quick is the top 3 budgeting questions that I see a lot, that I often research about, and I wanted to come in and just give you guys those questions to ponder. The first one is, how do I create a realistic budget that works for me and my lifestyle and my financial goals? Sometimes, because most of us want an expensive lifestyle, we want that rich and fabulous lifestyle, we want to create a budget that caters to that. But oftentimes, with the money that we make, the bills that we already have, taking care of home, taking care of ourselves, sometimes setting that budget of living that rich and fab life is not for us at the moment. Does not mean you won't ever be able to get to that level, but sometimes when we're trying to get to that level, we get ourselves in more trouble by trying to live a rich and fab life than we would if we just sit back, take stock, realize this is our budget and this is what we need to stick to. But when it comes to reality and the lifestyle and the financial goals, I know for me, my lifestyle is, as a nurse, I know that oftentimes we make the most amount of money working in a hospital, working, 36 plus hours a week. And a lot of us are travel nurses. So we make the best money working inside of a healthcare institution. And so for me, my goal and for my lifestyle is not to have to go back and work in a hospital for another, 36 hours or 12-hour shifts. I'm kind of getting too old for that. And so I want to live a life where, as a nurse, I am free to work the hours that I want to work, but still making good money. So this is, so I am setting myself up right now with the things that I am doing, with the things that I have, with the money that I am investing to live that lifestyle of not having to go back and work in a financial institution just to make ends meet, or just to be able to live a more freer lifestyle. That is not the ideal lifestyle that I want to have in this last half of my life. And so that is not what I am looking forward to doing. I do not, and I plan on not having to go back and work in an hospital on the floor in that capacity just to be able to make that type of money. So my lifestyle is such that I have cut back on a lot of things. I am getting out of debt. I'm using, I'm strategically doing things in my business that's going to bring me additional income so that I don't have to go back and work into the hospital. I do work now in a long-term care facility, and that is by choice. That is something that I've been in long-term care for many years, over 30 years to be exact, since I was 14 years old, and I'm now in my late 40s. And so right now that pays me well. I work when I want to work. I make good money. And so that is where I am strategically putting my efforts into just keeping my PRN positions and living below my means. And so when it comes to my financial goals is pretty much to be completely out of debt as I could possibly be. And getting out of debt for me right now is to pay off any excess debt, and the only thing that I have left would be my mortgage and my student loans. I want my car note paid off, and I want my credit cards paid off, and I have two loans that one loan that I want completely paid off. So for me, that is going in towards my debt-free journey, is to make sure that those things are paid off, and then to start focusing on my mortgage, and then hopefully figure out what's going to be going on with these student loans. So the second question is, what strategies can I use to track my expenses and stay on a budget? A lot of times I keep it simple, and I am putting out for you guys that don't know a sensible budget guide. It's called a sensible budget guide, where we're using good old paper and pen or paper and pencil to help us strategize our the ways that we're going to get out of debt. Sometimes, again, as people who are into budgeting, for the new budgeters, a lot of things that they have on the market is very cumbersome to use. They have all these trackers and debt savings and sinking funds. And for a lot of people, it can be overwhelming to try and do everything that budgeters are doing to stay on task. And again, it may not be beneficial for you to use all of these things when you are getting started. So I would always say one of the strategies is just start with a pen and paper or pencil and paper, gather all your debts, write them out, and then see how you're going to attack them just by creating a plan for you to get out of debt. The first plan is just to acknowledge that you're in debt. Well, the first step is to acknowledge that you're in debt. And then the second thing is to come up with the plan. And I always tell people, just start. Write down all of your debts, you know, from least to greatest, and then see how you're going to attack those. But tracking your expenses, I mean, they have electronic tracking sheets, they have budgeting sheets, people have their planners, they have guides. So I think you choose what works best for you. But if you are a beginner budgeter, just old-fashioned pen to paper, pencil to paper is going to be your best bet for starting out in your debt-free journey. The last question is, how can I effectively prioritize my spending and cut unnecessary expenses to reach my financial goals faster? Simply put, you just got to cut it out. There is no easy way to say it. There's no easy way to do it. When you are serious about getting out of your debt-free journey, you're going to stop any frivolous spending. You're going to stop buying things that don't matter. You're going to stop spending money on the things that are not going to bring you closer to your debt-free journey goals. So sometimes there's no easy way to do this, and there's no easy way to say it, but you just have to completely stop. Go cold turkey. That means, you know, no more buying the latest Jordans, no more buying the latest purses, the latest shoes, like no more. Just cut out the payments, the Klarna payments, and I know that is hard, because a lot of times I use that so that I won't have to make a big purchase all at once, that I can break it up. But again, that takes away from our income every week or every 2 weeks, or however you set up to schedule those payments coming out. So I know it's hard to do, but a lot of times it is definitely worth it. And so you got to be able to stop the unnecessary spending on Uber Eats, DoorDash, Klarna payments, PayPal payments, Zip payments. We just got to completely cut that out. So it's going to require us to pay things outright if we can, or just put it off and save for it. And then when you got the money, go ahead and make that purchase. There are things that I would like to do in my home, but I know realistically some of these things I can pay for out of pocket. And then some is going to require me to make payments on. And so those things that I know, such as like getting me a fence or a gate outside of my home, that's going to be every bit between $3,000 and $5,000. I know specifically, unless I take the hit out of my 401k, that's the only way that is going to get done and paid in full. I'm not willing to sacrifice my 401k for $3,000 or $5,000. So what I plan to do is eventually set up a payment plan to pay that, but that's after I've pretty much put a dent into what I owe now, and I'm not willing at this point to go out and make another unnecessary payment plan on something as such as a fence. So I will be doing it eventually. But those are the top 3 budgeting questions that I think a lot of us see, we read. If you are new to budgeting, these may be some of the questions that you have for yourself, or these may be questions that you never thought about, that I am thinking that it'll be great for you to explore and think about. And even write these questions down as you think about your budget and how you're going to get out of debt. And so with that being said, I thank you guys for joining me in this video today. Please go ahead and comment and share this out. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. So until then, have a great, great journey in your spirit-led finances. Talk to you later.